A big one. Kawhi Leonard's trade from the Clippers to Toronto is now on hold. That's due to the ongoing NBA investigation into whether the Clippers went around the salary cap by funneling money to Kawhi via his $28 million endorsement deal with the green banking company Aspiration. The Raptors say they still want this trade to happen, and they're going to wait for the probe to conclude, which the NBA said should be in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the Clippers released a statement on Thursday saying, quote, "We recognize the uncertainty this has created and the impact it has on our team, our fans, the Raptors organization, their fans, and the players whose futures remain affected while this process continues. We remain confident that when the facts are evaluated fairly and thoroughly, the NBA will confirm exactly what we have said from the beginning. We have not done what we have been accused of doing." Brian Windhorst, Vince Goodwill here to break it all down. Windy, let's start with you, because when the talks came about this Kawhi trade and this looming investigation, that was always a huge question that was on the table and the impact this could have on this thing playing out. So can you share more with us on where this stands with the NBA and their investigation, what this whole thing all really means?
Yeah, so from what I am told, before the Raptors entered into serious talks with the Clippers, they contacted the league office and asked about this scenario. And the league office said two things that are important to realize. One, they would not block or stop a Kawhi Leonard trade. However, if there was a trade, the Raptors or whoever team acquired Kawhi Leonard would have to deal with any penalties that he was given as a result of this investigation. So this development is not new. What I suspect the Raptors and Clippers did here, especially after hearing from Adam Silver at the finals that it was getting time to wrap up the investigation, is that they believed that the investigation would be wrapped up by now. The Clippers have maintained their innocence since the start, and so they went ahead with it thinking that by mid-July it would be done. It's mid-July and it's not done. And so the Raptors, they've been negotiating with Kawhi Leonard on a contract extension. Kawhi Leonard came to Toronto, took and passed his physical, was there posing for photos this week when Kyle Lowry retired and the team announced his number was being retired. But they hadn't done the deal yet. And so the Raptors had to take this step because people across the league were wondering just what the hell was going on.
It feels like he's functionally already a Raptor. We saw on June 30th as this trade was being put in the works. He was at the Blue Jays game and now obviously at Kyle Lowry's retirement. So, Windy, let's say something comes down here, some sort of suspension for Kawhi. How could that potentially affect his trade value and what the Raptors might be willing to pay or not pay in this circumstance?
Well, let's be 100% clear. The Clippers still want to do this trade badly. They're getting a whole bunch of draft capital in this deal. The Raptors, in their statement yesterday, said they were eager. They want this trade to happen. But if Kawhi Leonard faces a real penalty here, we could see the trade terms reopened. And I think that's what the Raptors are trying to protect themselves. But on a certain level, they're protecting themselves from the unknown.
Yeah, I mean, Vince, let's drill down on that a little bit more. So if he gets suspended, how would his value be reduced in the eyes of the Raptors? How could this potentially toothpaste get put back into the tube but still see the trade go through?
Well, if you're the Raptors and you want to load manage Kawhi Leonard, sometimes, a 25, 30 game suspension, that might be just what you need, right? But seriously, the problem here is that the NBA looks bad here. Adam Silver looks bad here. Yep. When he came out in front of us right before the NBA Finals and said, it's time for this investigation to end, while he's not leading it, he can put his thumb on the scale and influence the investigators to get this thing done. The problem for the league is twofold. Most importantly, the problem is that Steve Ballmer's on the other end of this. Steve Ballmer has more money than everybody. So even if you have the most cursory sort of perfunctory penalty that you place on the LA Clippers, Steve Ballmer's going to sue you. So you have to have everything lined up because litigation is coming. Also, you want to make sure that you can talk to everybody imaginable in case there is some wrongdoing that you can find. The problem is, what are you going to find now that you have not found in the last 7 months when you said it's time to go? League business has gone on. The new league year has started. The league just does not look good from an optic standpoint, even if they're willing to tell you, hey, this kind of ain't our fault here.
Sure. Wendy, has this held up significant league business? Because we know that we've seen a majority of moves in free agency already and trades that happened before that. But am I reading it correctly to think that this might actually have a domino effect?
Well, see, that's the issue, Courtney. It hasn't held up league business. The Raptors and Clippers have gone on with their business and done other deals and executed other things. And now undoing it would be very, very messy. And so that's why they're going to be committed to making this happen. And the difficulty here is just the unknown. And you don't have to be an expert lawyer, which the Raptors have, to understand why you would tell your team you can't go forward with this until you have an understanding of what their parameters are. And technically, the NBA owners and league, they don't sue each other. But it does happen. In fact, Steve Ballmer has been sued before by fellow owners. So realizing that you've got to have this nailed down is part of the reason why this is taking so long.
Vince, is there any world in which this trade falls apart?
I mean, there's a world that this trade gets, the terms get redone, right? There's a world in case there is a suspension that the Raptors look at it and say, hey, we don't want to give up this much draft capital for a player who we're going to have for maybe 2/3 of the season. So, and even then, that's messy because the way that the Clippers are looking at it as we're pot committed. We have a future now where we have our draft capital back. They have not had draft capital since the day that they traded for Kawhi Leonard, given everything that they gave up when they traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a bunch of picks to go get Paul George. So now they're in this spot. Like, think about this like this, Wendy. They could have very well have been heavily into the Jaylen Brown sweepstakes if they knew that this situation wasn't going to happen. The fact the moves that did not happen are more important than the moves that did happen just because it's so much of an unknown.
The trade happened 10 days ago or was agreed to 10 days ago?
They got ESPN. The league got ESPN. The Raptors got ESPN. This is not a surprise. Like, clearly someone screwed up here. Whether it's the Raptors or the league, it basically goes on to who do you believe?
Yeah, a lot of T's being crossed and I's being dotted extra closely here as we figure out this trade. Is it going to go through officially? What the terms might or may not look like? Plenty more to get into here as
LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, is soliciting voice memos from team executives who want to make their pitch to LeBron. And maybe the most intriguing possibility for LeBron is Golden State and a link up with fellow future Hall of Famer Steph Curry.
I don't have a percentage. It's kind of up to him. I feel like any place he'd call and say, I want to play there, you'd move mountains to make it happen. And I know we're in that boat as well. So the pitch is we want to play good basketball, be around people that know how to play the game, hopefully, raise our floor on our competitiveness this year. There's good golf in the Bay. But, we're an organization that's been there. He knows that, and that's really self-explanatory. It's just a matter of where he sees himself fitting. And at the end of the day, that's up to him.
Because LeBron's playing golf now, too, so come play with Steph. All right, so we know the Warriors pitch, obviously, but they aren't the only team vying for LeBron's services. 76ers loaded up. They added Jaylen Brown, of course. Heat, they went out and got Giannis. And, of course, what about a return to where it all started there in Cleveland? And, they got Donovan Mitchell.